On today's episode, we'll talk about an international training partnership between Oregon and Bangladesh, say welcome home to deployed airmen, and take a look at a new paint job on one of Kingsley's jets, along with other stories from your Oregon National Guard. Hello and welcome to the Oregon National Guard Quarterly Review. I'm your host, Technical Sergeant Stephen Conklin. As part of the state partnership program between the Oregon National Guard and Bangladesh, 4 senior officials from the Bangladesh Army's Non-Commissioned Officers Academy visited the 249th Regional Training Institute at Camp Umatilla to learn how we train our non-commissioned officers. The visit included training presentations, academy and training site tours, and discussions with the instructors and administrative personnel at Oregon's NCO Academy. The Oregon National Guard and Bangladesh have cooperated in many disaster response training exercises and other cooperative training programs, but sharing NCO Academy knowledge and training practices is a first for both partners. Thousands of fans gathered in Eugene to see the University of Oregon's spring football game, and joining the Oregon Ducks on the field was the Oregon Guard. The Oregon Ducks spring game is a time to assess talent and give fans a sneak peek at the upcoming season. The University of Oregon also used the 2016 spring game to honor the Oregon National Guard in the U.S. military.
I think it's definitely an honor for us to not only serve but be able to communicate with the locals here and interact with the coaching staff and the players. It's going to be a great time.
One of the biggest highlights of the day for service members like Sergeant Box was getting to trade coins for jerseys on the field with the Oregon Ducks.
We're going to meet at half field and do an exchange with the jersey. And in exchange, I'm going to have a coin that represents 2-162, and I'm going to talk about that. And I think I'm looking forward to that conversation. It'll be great.
While Oregon Guardsmen got to see some football, the Duck, former quarterback Marcus Mariota, and the cheerleaders, the fans and players got to see the professionalism of the military firsthand.
I mean, that's awesome. Just come out here, this is their home, and I'm from far away, but, it feels good to kind of represent them on the field.
After a jersey and coin swap with the players, the service members got personal tours of the facility, and the players got to say thank you.
It's a big honor. I've had a first cousin and other relatives that are really close to me that have served the military, and being able to actually help you guys, it's a huge honor. You guys might think we're cool, but now we all look up to you guys, and like I said over and over again, it's just a huge honor and a privilege to kind of walk you guys around and just be part of your company.
Reporting for the Oregon Military Department, I'm Technical Sergeant Stephen Conklin. Approximately 90 airmen from the 116th Air Control Squadron were welcomed home in a formal demobilization ceremony this January at Camp Withicum in Clackamas. The 116th ACS is based at Camp Railia in Warrenton and is a deployable air control and radar communications unit. Members of the 116th deployed to Al Dhafar Air Base in the United Arab Emirates from May to November 2015.
There was no doubt that you would represent your state with the finest in skill and honor.
The airmen operated and maintained surveillance communications and airspace management systems to support coalition air operations in and around the Arabian Gulf area of responsibility. In preparation for future deployments and emergency support here at home, Oregon National Guard Army aviators with Charlie Company 7158 trained in the dust of Central Oregon. These types of limited visibility landings can happen anywhere there's too much dust, restricting the pilot's ability to see the ground. 2 Black Hawk helicopters took turns practicing their landings at the BAC training area, getting the pilots geared up for landings overseas on deployments or here at home in dusty areas. Our feature story this episode highlights a significant milestone in the history of the Oregon Air National Guard. The Oregon Air National Guard celebrates their 75th anniversary this year. The history of the Oregon Air National Guard began just prior to World War II. Answering the call to arms was Major G. Robert Dodson, an Oregonian serving with the Army Reserve's 321st Observation Squadron at Pearson Field in Vancouver, Washington. He requested the National Guard Bureau's authorization to form an Oregon flying unit with the historical quote, "We've got people, we've got a place, and we're ready," resulting in the activation of the 123rd Observation Squadron in Portland, Oregon on April 18, 1941. Fred Parrish and Fred Hill, 2 charter members of the 123rd Observation Squadron, join us to bring to life the beginning of the Oregon Air National Guard.
It was an idea of Major Dodson, who came up with the idea of an aviation unit to be attached to the Oregon National Guard, Army National Guard. That was 1941, April 18th, 1941.
There were 118 men in the 123rd.
Well, just before December 7th, Fred Hill joined our outfit. He came over from the infantry. He'd already been on active service. So he came over because he had an interest in photography and was transferred in. So we considered him kind of like a charter member.
I've had 14 months of military training, and so I presented myself probably in proper military protocol, and I think I impressed the old boy. And after conversation and so forth, I managed to get from him his promise that should my request for transfer reach his desk, he would accept me. By the time of Pearl Harbor, there were 118 men in the 123rd. And as of today, there's Fred Parrish and Fred Hill. Both are named Fred and both live in La Grande. Quite a coincidence, but that's all that's left.
In honor of the 75th anniversary of the Oregon Air National Guard, the 173rd Fighter Wing unveiled new flagship artwork on an F-15 Eagle at Kingsley Field in Klamath Falls. Master Sergeant Paul Allen and his team of maintainers brought this eagle to life on tail number 041, commemorating 1941 as the year the first Oregon Air National Guard unit was activated. The artwork features a screaming eagle on the nose of the aircraft, eagle feathers spanning across the top and underside of the wings, and the Oregon Air National Guard shield and 75th anniversary logo on its tails. Oregon is home to several premier training sites for the National Guard. Just outside Umatilla, in a decommissioned Army weapons depot, the Oregon National Guard's 249th Regional Training Institute is training soldiers to become infantrymen.
Camp Umatilla may look like a desolate wasteland, but in between the low hills of scrub grass and piles of tumbleweeds, the 249th Regional Training Institute is turning soldiers into infantrymen. The 249th Regional Training Institute is one of only 7 infantry training battalions in the nation, and the only one west of the Mississippi that offers the Infantry Advanced Leaders course. Soldiers come from across the country to this bleak and isolated post to learn basic infantry skills and gain the military occupational specialty of 11 Bravo. Sergeant First Class Eddie Black, one of the instructors at the course, tells us about some of the advantages of training in Eastern Oregon.
Well, like artillery drills, indirect fire, hit the deck, incoming, and then when it gets up, you run 300 meters, 300 to 600 meters. That's plenty of room. We got lots of room. Patrol base is about 1.8 clicks that direction. We got another movement lane that's about 2 clicks that direction. We got a raid that's about 2 clicks that direction. Got plenty of movement to go all over the place. So we can have plenty of platoons that are doing different lanes here, not be stepping all over each other.
The 249th conducts both Infantry Advanced Leaders course, a requirement for promotion, and infantry transition courses for both junior soldiers and non-commissioned officers coming from different career fields. Having a variety of instructors available to mentor students is invaluable to their training. Staff Sergeant Joseph Woodard with the 185 Infantry Battalion, California Army National Guard, shares his experience at the course.
It's actually been a really good experience. They got a lot of knowledgeable instructors here, and it's been able to give me the chance to grow as an NCO, and then it's also added to my toolbox that I already had. The most beneficial for me has been just having a bunch of different instructors to work in and out with, getting different points of view and perspectives from those different instructors based on their different experiences.
Students are trained in everything from land navigation to machine gun employment, infantry tactics and troop leadership to patrolling and urban operations throughout the course. Sergeant First Class Black uses their time at the course to get to the heart of infantry training.
At the heart of it, what we need is space, which we got plenty of space here, and time.
Of all the training these soldiers get, there are 2 fundamental things the instructors try to instill in the newly forged infantrymen.
When I try to train my soldiers, TTPs change. Those things change. The tools that we are given change. The uniforms change. The weapons change. Everything changes all the time. What does not change? And the two things that I try to instill most, and I can do that anywhere. One, never give up. And two, always look after your battle buddy. So if I try to train those two things wherever I'm at, this is great terrain for that. I don't need fancy schmancy computers for that. I just need you to get out of my business, give me some weight, give me some ruck marches, and say, get after it. I'll get it done. We'll make it happen.
Reporting from Camp Umatilla, Oregon, this is Technical Sergeant Jason Van Moore.
On Oregon's coastline, just south of Warrenton, lies Camp Rylea, home to Oregon's air assault course, where service members from around the nation learn the ropes in a grueling 12-day test of their physical and mental strength. At Camp Rylea, Oregon, service members are finishing a 12-mile ruck march, the final requirement to graduate from air assault training.
And this is the kind of training that I believe, keeps soldiers happy with what we're doing.
Almost a decade ago, Warrior Training Center handpicked Camp Rylea as an ideal site for this training.
Years ago, WTC contacted Oregon 2008 timeframe and said, hey, we like your training base, we like things, we want to know if you would be willing or able to assist in an MTT to come out and train an air assault course out here. Got the funding for it, built it, and we've hosted it ever since 2008.
And the instructors who travel all over the world conducting this training say the Oregon coast is a great fit for this course.
Camp Rylea is an excellent training ground for the soldiers. They're walking distance for everything that they need, and the weather is perfect for road marches and extra activities.
To this day, the Oregon National Guard continues to benefit from this annual training.
It helps out Oregon quite a bit. We get our soldiers loaded in the course. We get a certain seat count that we can actually put our soldiers in, and so it helps us out to gain proficiency in our soldiers to become air assault qualified.
But it's the soldiers themselves who get the most out of it.
It's things like this that make me happy with my decision of joining the Army.
For the Oregon Military Department Public Affairs, I'm Technical Sergeant Stephen Conklin. Our last story today highlights interagency cooperation between state, federal, and military organizations throughout the Northwest. The Oregon National Guard supported the Oregon Office of Emergency Management throughout a region-wide disaster exercise called Cascadia Rising this June. Agencies from all over the Northwest and even other parts of the country took part in this exercise simulating a massive earthquake that effectively shuts down infrastructure in the Northwest. Cascadia Rising tests specific functions and capabilities these agencies have in place to respond to such an event.
Those first 36, 72 hours where the life-saving efforts are really going to be had is neighbor to neighbor, looking out for each other, being able to assist, knowing that they've got those personal ready kits ready as they wait out that federal response.
And that's all for this episode of the Oregon National Guard Quarterly Review. Thanks for joining us, and see you next time.